now recording it. Thanks for the reminder. Okay, I'm going to ask Rabbi Anthony Knopf, currently of Montreal, my mother's oldest rabbinical grandson, to address us and say a few words about his grandma. Anthony, you'll have to unmute yourself, please. There we go.
Thank you very much. I'd like to echo the echo. It's really amazing to see so many people and to see so many faces from a very long time ago, some of you, and it's sad that it's this occasion that we come together, but I appreciate the waves, and it's great to see all your faces and your names, and to know that you're with us, with our family. It's very special and heartwarming. Thank you. In the Torah reading that we read on Shabbat, so as Uncle Johnny mentioned at the funeral, it's the Torah reading about how Jacob comes to the end of his life, and he gives blessings to his children and also to his grandchildren, to Ephraim and Manasseh. And he says that that the Jewish people are going to give blessings, and they're going to say, Yisimcha Elohimka Ephraim v'Manasseh, that you will get, that you shall be, Hashem shall make you like Ephraim and Manasseh. This is indeed how fathers bless, or parents bless their sons to this day. They should be like Ephraim and Manasseh. There's a common question why these two men are the kind of role models for who we want our sons to be like. Why not Moses? Why not Abraham, Isaac, Jacob? One of the answers, which is given from a contemporary rabbi, Rabbi Moshe Sternbach, is that it doesn't mean we want our sons to be like those two people necessarily. It just means that the privilege of being able to give blessings to your sons, to your daughters, to your grandchildren, like Jacob was able to do, that we should have that blessing, the blessing of being able to give blessings to our young ones, to the later generations. Not that you have to be like Ephraim and Manasseh, but the very special nature of having somebody being able to give a blessing, to be able to give love, to be able to identify the potential of their children, their grandchildren, identify who they can be and help them to achieve it. That's really what we want to see replicated through the generations. That's what Jacob was really saying. And when I think of that, when I think of grandparents with their grandchildren and the impact that they have, so I think that of the love that each of us experienced from Grandma. When I walked into the hospital room after Grandpa Eugene passed away, so Grandma said to me, as soon as I walked in, she said, never forget how proud he was of you. It was almost like with an urgency in her voice, because it was so important to her that I should remember how proud Grandpa was of me and of all of us. And the same thing was with Grandma, that she had a tremendous pride in all her children and her grandchildren. She had a pride in my mom, and tremendously grateful for the blessing that my parents were in her life, for all the devotion that they showed to her, especially in these recent months. They were proud of Uncle Johnny, who it's been mentioned a lot of times that she was very proud of having two grandsons who were rabbis, but she also has a son who was a rabbi doctor, and she was very proud of him as well. And of course of the grandchildren, Marcel, Dan, Kiva, Bobby, Hadi and Rina, and all the great-grandchildren. She had a tremendous love and a tremendous pride. At the funeral, Uncle Johnny said that Grandma and Grandpa were like two halves of one soul. And indeed, when I think of times with Grandma, as I've obviously been thinking of a lot, so I often do go to those memories of the two of them together. There was one time where I needed to take a break from yeshiva for a couple of days, and I went to the apartment in Netanya. And I remember as soon as I walked in, Grandma said, "Oh, Anthony, I haven't seen you for such a long time. I don't know how long, probably only been 2 or 3 months." And immediately I was wined and dined, and bringing those delicious lunches that she used to make whenever we'd go to Netanya. And indeed, it's those experiences really. I lived in Israel for 5 years, and also intervening in the midst of those 5 years, there were also 3 years. In other words, I went to yeshiva 1998 to 99, then university for 3 years, then yeshiva for 4 years. Even in the 3 years when I was at university, I came to visit Israel a number of times, And throughout this entire period, I had so many amazing opportunities to be with my grandparents, staying with them in Netanya, often for Shabbat. And these were amongst the most beautiful memories of my life. Remember just walking, we used to go and walk to shul together and then walk back. And I remember, it wasn't always easy for Grandma to walk. And I remember Grandpa saying, are you proud of what do you feel you've accomplished something? Because it was difficult for her to walk that far, and she made it. But, it was just the most beautiful Shabbos experiences, and such a blessing to have those memories. I remember I used to take many friends. Sometimes I would go on my own for Shabbos, but sometimes I would take friends to be with me for Shabbos together with Grandma and Grandpa. And I remember one of my friends saying they're the best grandparents in the world. They were just so amazed at how warm and welcoming and loving they were. And indeed, Grandma and Grandpa were a model for us all of family love and togetherness. I remember one time Grandpa was telling a story, but before he even told a story, we were just talking about a certain topic, and he was about to tell the story. He said, I've got a story for you. And then he turned to Grandma and said, how long ago? How long ago? How does she know what he's talking about? But she knew what he was talking about. She immediately answered, how long ago? And then he told the story, because just the fact that the conversation was segueing into that story, she knew which story he was going for. And we were privileged to hear many times the wonderful speeches that my grandma would tell on special family occasions. And she was a wonderful speaker. And it wasn't just, it wasn't just being able to string the sentences together well. And indeed, sometimes she would tell poems, I think quite often, but just the way in which the sentiments were captured so beautifully. She gave voice to the meaning of the moment and to our sense of shared joy and love. Whilst all my memories, so many of my memories are of Grandma and Grandpa together, the truth is that we did still have so many wonderful times just with Grandma these past years since Grandpa passed away. Grandma came to stay with us in London, in Cape Town, and in Montreal. We had the privilege of being with her in Manchester, so many different places in the world. I don't know whether or not we've been in Israel together. I've been in Israel with Grandma since Grandpa passed away, but so many different places in the world and so many special experiences and so many times just to be with Grandma. We've tried, many different FaceTime attempts. Generally, it wasn't successful, or we'd have to call my mum to make sure that she'd be notified that she has to take the FaceTime call. But it was, we're very blessed that we had that ability to speak to her through that way as well. In February, Carly and I went to England for a short trip, and we were very privileged that we managed to find time, even though it was a very short trip, to come to Manchester. And we just spent the whole Shabbos with Grandma. Apart from I went to shul, which was just next door, and the rest of the time it was almost like it used to be in Netanya. So we're very, very grateful for that experience. When Jacob was giving his blessing to his grandsons, he says to them, he says about them, carry the hem shemi, that my name should be used in relation to my grandsons, and V'shem avatai Abraham v'Yitzchak, and also the name of my father and grandfather Abraham and Yitzchak. What does it mean that Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob's names were to be pulled out on Jacob's grandsons? What does that mean? There are some insightful interpretations from our great commentaries. The Ramban says that their names, the names of Ephraim and Manasseh's grandfather, great-grandfather, great-great-grandfather, should be associated with Ephraim and Manasseh. You should see Ephraim and Manasseh and you should say, oh yeah, that's the grandson of Jacob. That's the great-grandson of Isaac. I can see the similarity there. I can see how the values came through there. Those people remind me, Ephraim and Manasseh remind me of their grandfather, their great and great-great-grandfather. And similarly, the Bechor Shur says, different commentary, along the same lines, that they should be recognized as the descendants. That people see them and they say, oh yeah, they're the descendants. That's the great-grandson. So we have all been touched by the indelible imprint of Grandma's love. We have such beautiful memories. So many of her values were transmitted through to us, and we carry her love for us and our love for her in our hearts. And we will always tell our children and the later generations about Grandma Shirley. And when people see us, people who know Grandma and know about Grandma will associate Grandma with us, because we will carry on her characteristics, and we will carry on talking about her, and we will carry on being recognizable as the children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren of Grandma Shirley. At the funeral, Uncle Johnny mentioned that the rabbis, Rabbi Yochanan, says something strange, Yaakov Avinu lo met, that Jacob, our father, did not die, and how this clearly he did die. And Uncle Johnny gave a very nice interpretation. I saw another interpretation that said that that Rabbi Yochanan doesn't say that Jacob didn't die. He didn't say Yaakov lo met. It says Yaakov Avinu lo met. Jacob, our father, did not die. Meaning that Jacob, the human being, died, but because his children carried on his legacy, so therefore Jacob, our father, did not die. That was the way in which the consciousness of Jacob as a father continued to live in the world through his children and through the generations. And so we can say in the same way that Shirley Lieberman passed away, but Grandma Shirley lo met, that the spirit and love of our grandma, mother, aunt, and friend will always live on with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. Beautiful words. The rabbis say, Dvarim sheyotzim min halev nichnasim lalev. Words that come from the heart enter the heart. And those were heartfelt words, which are entering my heart and your mother's. Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. That was beautiful. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, we're 88 people on this meeting here. If we have a free-for-all, it will be impossible, I guess. But nevertheless, I'm going to ask anybody who wishes to add their own memories or stories or something about Mum. We'd be delighted to hear it. I particularly am pleased to see cousin Max and Charlotte, who are with us there, who are looking as gorgeous as ever, and we're very pleased to see you. Thank you so much for joining us. I know that Mum was very close with you, both of you, and it's very nice to see you. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, I can see you.
It's difficult for me to see everybody here, but
Is Auntie here?
I think so, because it says more view. So
right.
I'm assuming Auntie Leah's on that. And I also can see Rose Ruth. Rose Ruth, that's lovely to see you. If I could use the expression an old friend, with meaning, not meaning old, but a long-time friend of Mum's, going back way back when. It's very lovely to see you, Rose Ruth. Thank you very much for joining us.
I'd just like to say hello to...
I wouldn't have wanted to miss this opportunity, since I didn't know till after a few days that she had passed away, and I didn't know how to get in touch with you. So I'd like to just add a few words that our friendship goes back over 60 years. I shall always remember Shirley and Eugene. They were very good friends to Izzy and myself. We worked together for many years. I'm very proud of the wonderful work that the committee, the benevolent committee, did, and that we did together, and that our friendship lasted after we went on Aliyah over 30 years ago. I will miss seeing her very much, but I shall always remember her. And I send my tanchumim to you, Elizabeth and Jonathan, and hope that you will always have good memories to console you.
Thank you, Rose Ruth.
Thank you very much, Rose Ruth. That's very touching words. Thank you. Max, you want to say something? I can see Max is itching to say something. Max, unmute yourself. Elizabeth, come and answer that phone, please.
I can't. Oh, I can.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Working in here. No, I can't.
Yes, we can hear you, Max.
Okay. I just want to say that as a young medical student, I came to live in Manchester, and Shirley and Eugene always looked after me. Friday night dinners there were the usual thing. Whenever I went round to babysit for Elizabeth, I think, and for you, they would end up filling my pockets with cigarettes. Fortunately, I got out of the bad habits, but I've always held them with great affection. And she was a lovely lady. Okay.
If I may say, because I'm not the
Mr.
direct
Shaw.
cousin, but I always felt that I was. And it really isn't all that long ago, I'm glad to say, that we saw her, had a meal with Shirley, and it was always upbeat and funny and fun. And that's how I remember her. There's something always made us smile and made us laugh. And I was very fond of her as a married-in cousin. But thanks for that moment.
Thank you so much.
Jonathan, can you hear me?
Who's speaking?
It's Thelma.
I can hear you, Thelma. Let me see if I can find you as well on the screen.
She's there as Thelma.
Might not, because I think I'm muted.
No, I can hear you.
Thelma,
I
you're
can
not
hear
muted.
you.
You've got
Go
no
ahead,
video.
Thelma. Go ahead, Thelma, please. Thank you.
No, I just wanted to say that I don't know what I wanted to say. I'm going to miss her terribly. I spoke to her the night before she went in the hospital, and we chatted about this and that and arranged to meet up, please God, for a cup of tea and what have you. And I really don't know what to say. It's hard to believe. We've known each other for such a long time, you know. We go back such a long way, and Eugene and Ralph and everybody. And I just wanted to wish you both long life, and you should be free from any further sorrow.
Thank you,
I
Thelma.
haven't much to say. I know I see Leah every day. I make a point of having at least one meal a day with her. And she sent me a message before to let me know that you were on the Zoom tonight, and I got one of the girls to help me put it on because I'm not very good with it. So I'm glad to see you both. Just keep well and do whatever you do as best you can. And I give you my love.
Thank you, Thelma. Thank you very much.
Can I just ask Ronald? Ronald, do you mind if I just say that?
Sorry?
Ronald Black, do you mind if I just say that?
No problem.
Do you want to say it?
Okay, so when I was below the age of 10, Liz and Shirley, Eugene family lived 4 doors away from us, 4 or 5 doors away from us. So we were very close. We built up a huge friendship over the years. But one of the things that they could never understand in the Lieberman household was my eating habits for very bland food, because we lived in Bland Road. And one of the things that Shirley tried to do was to force feed me Marmite. But I did forgive her. It just came back to me.
Well, listen, if it's any consolation, your lovely mum, Auntie Betty, made us eat loction and milk.
Oh, I can still taste it.
On Thursday nights with gefilte fish and potatoes and cauliflower. Everything was white on a Thursday night.
Loction in milk, no. I still have nightmares about that. So give me Marmite any day.
Oh dear.
It's all right, I send Marmite to Canada. Has it arrived? No, they're shaking their heads. Okay, it will do. I think I must thank my son-in-law for being on it, and I think Dan Dobb was on before. I'm not sure whether he still is. It's 2 o'clock in the morning in Hong Kong and Perth, and they're on. So I think they should go to bed now.
Can I just wish you both long life? I have very fond memories of my lovely neighbour, and going back, also memories of your dad from the Benevolent Society, which was long before I knew both of you, I think. But I just wanted to wish you long life, and please God, all should be well.
Thank you, Deborah, and of course to you too. Tough times for all of us.
Just to wish you
surreal experience.
Can I just say something? We've only known Liz and Elliot for 4 years since we moved into the residences and then met Shirley. Shirley was a super lady, and during this last week, I've had lots of phone calls from friends of mine who met her in my house on a Shabbos, who have asked how you as a family are and said they were so sorry to hear and what a lovely lady she was, and just wished you long life. And we wish you long life, and so we will really miss her happy smiling face coming in here. And please God, when we get back to normal, her sitting at our table.
Thank you. Thanks, Gilda. She was very fond of you.
Liz and Jonathan, I just want to say on behalf of a lot of us that are on this site now, that a great pleasure for all of us, all our friends, was entertaining your mum over Shabbos. She used to be great company. She had lots of fabulous stories to tell. Sometimes your eyes rolled a little when she told them a few times, but we absolutely adored having her, as did many people on this group. And she was great company, and we're all going to miss her, but we're going to have very, very fond memories of her. Just sending lots of love to you and to Jonathan.
Thank you very much. And as I said the other day, for anybody that was on the other day, Mum really appreciated the way you all of you have opened your homes to her and welcomed her so much. And for that, I'll always be truly grateful. Thank you.
I'm sorry, and just from Lynette and Morris Jacobs, also didn't know your mum so well, but she was a lovely lady whenever we met her. And also my mum, Anne Praise, knew her from Netanya, and I think they both had a similar zest for life. I have a similar zest for life, and I know my mum always talks about the fact that your mum told her she shouldn't wear so much jewellery when she goes out in public or something. So.
Oh, thank you. My mum was very, very fond of your parents, and yes, she did tell them that story because Mum, of course, was had a burglary and they were mugged when they were in Israel, so they were very aware of wearing jewelry. But yeah, they were very fond, and they got on very well together. Yeah. And it was lovely of your mum to send me a message, which she has done. It's very nice of her. Please have reciprocated that.
I'd like to just reiterate Liz's thanks to all of you who entertained Mum. Of course, the last 8 years I've been living in Israel, so I've not been around to do my share of that as much as I perhaps should have been. So I'm grateful for all of you helping out and entertaining Mum. And I know that she enjoyed going to all of your houses, especially those that she hadn't been to before, because she could tell the stories all over again. But just on Naomi's point, doesn't matter if she said the stories again, because they got better each time she told them. They weren't quite the same each time. They were a little bit embellished each time, and by the time she'd said it a few times, they were really quite good stories. So I'm sure you all enjoyed them. We did roll our eyes sometimes because we have heard them a few times, but nevertheless, she told a great story. She was a good raconteur, and as you've all said, she was great company, and she loved being company. She loved having company, and she loved all your company. I think somebody else said, I'm not sure whether it was a Zoom last week or said it to me separately. I can't remember now, but somebody said that she liked to be centre stage, and she liked to be right in the middle. She didn't like to be left behind and sat at the back and do nothing. She was there right in the front and the forefront of everything. And that was Mum, and that was her great personality, and that's why everybody loved her, and that's why everybody liked entertaining her. And we are very grateful to you, all of you, who did entertain her and did help her out, and thank you again for that. I can see that Anne Marks has got her hand up. That's very very official. Let's lower that hand and ask you to unmute yourself.
I don't think I've done it.
Well, actually, I didn't have my hand up. David, in error, put it up. But nevertheless, I'm very happy that you actually asked me to speak, because when I spoke to Liz the other night, I was remembering the family history going back such a long time. And I remember your mum also particularly well from Heathlands, because I went there very regularly at one time, and your mum was always there helping in the shop or helping there on Shabbos or being around. And I remember both your parents very, very well. And I actually spoke to your Aunt Hilaire the other night, and she's very sad. And it's just part of my upbringing. Your family were part of my upbringing. And so that, no, I'm glad David stuck my hand up. Thank you very much. I wish you all long life, please God, and no sorrows, no more sorrows.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Johnny, it's Rodney. I just want to say that we didn't entertain your mum. She entertained us, as you said, with all these nice, wonderful stories. But the best stories were when we came to your house, Liz, when you and Elliot disappeared into the kitchen to get the next course ready. That's when we got all the juicy stories that you weren't entitled to hear.
And now we'll never know what they were.
Well, we're party to them, but we're not going to pass it on.
Never known Mrs. Ed be so quiet.
Come on, Mrs. Epstein, give us a few words.
About you, Dr. K.
I spoke the other night. I let my daughter speak some nice memories, Belinda.
That's the book.
Belinda, I'm passing it over to Belinda.
Pass it to somebody
Go
else.
on. Talk to Mrs. Knopf like you used to. Good girl.
Don't cry.
Oh my gosh, this is like putting me literally, I feel like I'm back in school with Auntie Liz and she wasn't even my teacher. There's so many memories I don't even know where to begin. You know what's funny? Because of Joseph and his Technicolor Dreamcoat, literally I've been singing all the songs to the kids, and I say to them, Safta's friend, Auntie Liz, we used to listen to them every single day. Do you remember, Anthony, on the way to school to North Cheshire? Auntie Liz had it blasting out of her car. So even those memories, it's just like it's just so funny how these things come up in my life and just start talking to the kids about it. Just all these things all the time. And Auntie Shirley, of course, Uncle Eugene, I mean, you know, part of my childhood, of course. I still think of them just together. I can't even remember now, like, you know, them being apart. It's really quite strange. They're very special, very cute. Very, very cute. As Nay would say, very, very cute. I will miss them even though I haven't seen them for a while.
Thank you.
I won't put anyone else on the spotlight.
Like your mum did, yeah.
Belinda, you're absolutely right about them all being together. It was actually quite difficult when I was thinking about what I wanted to say at the Levaya. It was actually quite difficult to separate them out and to think of Mum as an individual, because although she didn't stop when my father passed away, she was, by more than anything else, she was his wife. She was the perfect wife. And they were, as I said at the funeral, they were two parts of a whole. And on the morning of the funeral, I think Dan's gone off now, he's gone back to bed probably, but on the morning of the funeral, my son Dan called me. I was actually, I was awake, but I was still in bed. And he played out this scenario for me in Grandpa's voice. of what he thinks is going to happen there this afternoon when she's up there in Shemaim. And he says in Grandpa's voice, hands on hips, where the bloody hell have you been for the last 11.5 years? I've been bloody waiting for you all this time. No, I don't want ginger in me nuts. Come and watch this cowie with me. It's the most marvellous cowie. And he played this whole scenario. And I felt a little bit irreverent because I was just in hysterics because that was them. It was just comedy all the way along. He would be saying outrageous things and she would just, yes, dear. Yes, Eugene. Okay, Eugene. Yes, dear. And he, in the end, would go, oh, shut up, Shirley. And that was just the way it was. It was non-stop, just happiness for them. And that was Mum. She was his foil. So yeah, you're absolutely right. They were. It's hard to think of them as separate. And of course, now they're not separate, and they will no doubt be. She will no doubt be being told to shut up, Shirley, as we are speaking right now.
I would like to actually say something, Johnny, and Liz, if I can. I think it's already been said somewhere along the line at one of these shivers, where it's when the person passes on, they don't really pass on because it's what they leave behind. And having known both of you for over 50 years, can you believe it? It just astonishes me. But I think when you look at you two and your families and your children and your grandchildren, I think that is what really sets the mark for what Shirley and Eugene were as people. And I think you should remember them in that way.
Thank you, Tony. That's very nice of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. 50 years, a long time, isn't it? I didn't even think you were 50 yet, Tony.
Flattery, my dear boy, flattery. When we were at medical school together, Johnny, I remember it well.
Yeah, well, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have gone to the Royal Free.
Really?
So,
don't remember that.
Yeah, no. What did I know from the Royal Free? I remember asking you, and you said, "Yeah, it's good down here." So I stuck it as number 1. I didn't know what to put.
It wasn't so bad, was it?
No, it was great. All those time in Mansfield Road with the slugs in the kitchen.
I'll talk to you about that privately off Zoom because I've got something to tell you about that, actually.
Probably best. Probably best.
For those of you listening, Mansfield Road was the student accommodation that Johnny and I shared together in Hampstead in London in the
70s. Yeah. Wasn't really Hampstead either. It was Gospel
and you know
Oak.
what they say, Johnny? What happened in Mansfield Road stays in Mansfield Road.
Just as well. Just as well.
Oh, I can see that Adrian and Stuart. Anthony, have you seen Adrian and Stuart there? Thank you for coming on. Jonathan, shall we wrap it up?
Yeah, I think
and if anybody's got anything to say.
I think so. Thank you all very much. Thank you, Anthony, for that beautiful words. And thank you, everybody else, for your memories. Thanks for your words of comfort. And thanks for being there. We appreciate it. It's been a most peculiar experience. Doesn't really, to be honest, feel like we've been sitting Shiva. The halachas of Shiva are that you're not meant to step outside of the house. I've been all places, shul and home and here, and it doesn't feel right, really, to be honest. But it's the way we live at the moment. Hopefully, all this nonsense will be past us as well as we can in the future, very, very soon. And I hope we'll all meet at simchas together in real person simchas rather than having to do it by Zoom. So thank you all very much. We do appreciate everything that's been said and done. Thank you.
Wish you long life.
I'm Arucha.
I am Arucha.
Wish you long
A
life.
long and healthy life.
Those long life.
Jonathan.
Hi, Carly.
Wish you long life, Liz and Jonathan.
And Johnny.
I want to say that from the moment I met Grandma Shirley, she welcomed me into the family like her own grandchild. She used to call me her granddaughter from the beginning, and we got along so well, and we used to go shopping together, and we used to have chit chat together and tea and ice creams with the kids, and she used to always want to take them out and give them gifts and ice creams, and she always used to pick things up from shops to give them, and she really made everyone feel so special, and she's really going to be missed, but we're going to keep her in our hearts forever. And have a picture of her on my WhatsApp, and I've got a picture of her in my bedroom that I look at with one of my kids, and she's always going to be remembered as just a shining, smiling little light, a big light.
She really loved you, Carly. She really did.
Can I just say something? Rita here.
No.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, sorry.
Rita.
Yes. I will never forget when I first came to your house, Liz. I can't remember what occasion it was, but on the ledge of the window, it was Grandma Shirley's photograph as a bride. Or she had a beautiful dress. So she told me she looked amazing, a model, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So she was so proud. And she said to me, Eugene made that dress for me. He's so good, he's so amazing. So she was praising her husband, and she looked a dream in that beautiful, it was satiny or something, very shiny, beautiful dress that Eugene made for her. You know, they're meant to be, and now they are in heaven together, and she will always stay in my heart. She was so adorable. I always loved her, even though, you know, we were not living together as such, but you know, she lives in my heart. Beautiful memory of this beautiful lady. So now I see the grandchildren. I see, you know, Carly and Anthony's kids, and I think she lives on. So that's all I have to say. She lives on.
Thank you, Rita. That story actually got into the newspaper because it's true, and it's supposed to be bad luck, isn't it, for the bridegroom to see the bride's dress before the wedding. So it actually made, I think, the Manchester Evening News.
Yes.
Because my father had made the dress.
Yes.
Unfortunately,
beautiful.
I think it possibly would have got nearer to the front of the page, but the king went and died on the day that they got married. So that actually took precedence over my dad making the dress.
Oh, wow.
It was true. Dad did make the dress.
Chutzpah. Fancy doing that, eh? Dying on the day of their wedding.
Claire, you must remember it.
I'd run off. When they said something terrible had happened, Grandma Bashki thought the fella had run away. Had run off.
It's what? I think Claire wants to say something. You need to unmute yourself, Claire. You need to unmute yourself, Claire. Oh,
I'm doing it.
That's okay. You can speak now.
No.
Yeah. No, you can take it off.
Am I? Yes,
Now you
yes.
have.
On the day that the king died, Shirley, your mother always used to tell this story about your grandfather, Sholem, coming home and saying, from the barbers, and saying, Bessie, Bessie, terrible news, there's no wedding. The king has died. There's no wedding, and he put the panic into all of them. And my David, as you know, was best man at that wedding, and he got new instructions. He had to go round and get as many card tables as he could to take to the wedding, because they had to cancel all the music.
Oh wow. And
whenever my kids talk about the dad being up in Hashemayim, they always say, he's sure to be having a cup of tea just now with Uncle Eugene. He's sure to be having tea with Eugene. I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yes.
No.
Yes. Yeah, we
can
yes,
hear
we can
me.
hear you. Yes.
And yeah, and now I can just imagine your mum, bless her, making tea for both of them up there, because they were inseparable, as you know.
Well, I hope somebody's making it better.
We were friends from being about 14 years old, a long, long time.
For those of you that haven't
We
heard,
missed each other.
for those of you that haven't heard the full story, probably not very many of you, but I'll just repeat it because I think that I don't think we can finish Shiva for Grandma without telling the full story of the day of the wedding. This is the story. My grandfather, the father of the bride, went to have his hair cut at the barber's, and he heard on the news that the king had died. So as Claire has just said, he comes running home and he says to Grandma, "Bessie, I've got terrible news for you." And she says, "What is it? What is it?" He says, "There's going to be no wedding." She said, "Why? What's the matter? What's happened?" And he said, "The king's died." And Grandma said, "Oh, thank God for that. I thought Eugene had done a runner." And for those of you that had the pleasure of knowing Grandma Bashki, that absolutely summed her up. She was
a character.
Yeah,
she was a character.
Star.
Your Grandma Bashki, she really was.
It often makes me wonder how Mum, who was, as everybody has said, was very elegant and very proper in her appearance and in her behaviour. One wonders where she came from, because Grandma Bashki was really not those things. She was lots of things, but she wasn't smart and elegant. She was great fun, but she was not. She wasn't smart and elegant. And where Grandma got it from, where Mum got it from, a bit of a mystery, really. But yeah, that's one of the famous stories of their wedding.
She was a real character, your Grandma Bashki.
She was.
They don't make them like that today.
No.
They just don't make them like that today.
Ronnie.
For those of you who don't know.
It's okay, they don't sweat with me.
Ronnie, yes, please. In answer to your question.
Okay.
Mute yourself.
I pick you up from Liz.
No, where we were this morning.
I'll pick you up from there this evening.
No, this evening I've been already.
Okay, fine. So yeah, tomorrow, 7:15.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, everyone, thank you very much. I'm going to close down the meeting. Thanks again, and let's all meet at Simchas.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Bye, everyone.
Wish you both long life again.
Long
no
life.
more trouble. No more
Wish
trouble.
you long life.
Liz, I wish you a long life, and Uncle Jonathan.
Thank you.
Right.
She's pleased that she's home. Now I must tell you, Liz and Jonathan, my mum could hear every word. She couldn't, and she could see, but she can't operate the tablet.
So she's still on.
She's still on.
Oh, she's there, Moorview House.
Yes, but she can't unmute, but she can certainly hear.
She's heard everything.
She has heard it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. Pleased about that, Auntie Leah.
Yeah.
Auntie Leah, it's good to know that you're there, even though we can't see you. We can feel your presence, and we know how upset you've been. And I hope that in a few weeks' time, when I come back again, you'll have been properly vaccinated, and we'll be able to get to see you properly, rather than just on a screen. So I know you can hear us. We send you our love, and I hope to see you in a few weeks when I'm back again.
Amen. Let's hope we can all circulate then, Jonathan.
Yes, let's hope so. Everybody should go and get your vaccines as soon as you're offered them. Don't mess about.
I got refused, would you believe, because of my late allergy, which you will remember.
What did you say, Claire? I missed that. Say that again.
said, you will remember that I suffer with various allergies and they wouldn't do my vaccine because of them.
Wow.
Despite the fact that they've all cleared up and gone away, they didn't want to know, they wouldn't do them. But I'm hoping.
Maybe you'll get the Oxford vaccine. I think that's less allergenic.
Yes, I think that's probably, yes. I hope so.
Hopefully you'll get that very soon.
Yes.
But you see, the doctors that you're from St Gabriel's said I was okay to have them and sent me off to the vaccination centre, and then that went for nothing because when they questioned me, they wouldn't do it.
Right.
Anyway, I hope I'll get it soon. Thank you.
Hopefully you'll get
we'll all get together.
The Oxford is better because
is it?
Correct me if I'm wrong. I think I read somewhere that the Pfizer vaccine has an element of antibiotic. It's not penicillin. It's something beginning with N. I don't know, Jonathan, you're the doctor, maybe you know, and that is why it caused allergies.
I don't know the exact things that's in it, but I know that the Oxford vaccine is said to be less problematic for allergies.
Yes, that's what I read.
So
that's
probably, Claire, they'll probably offer you the Oxford vaccine. I think it's on the way. I think they've approved it in the UK. And I think
it has been approved. I saw it on the television.
Yeah, I think they're starting to roll that out now.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were using it today, according to the news.
Yes.
They started it today, but not, not in here yet.
Yes.
Well, I'll keep trying.
Yeah, keep trying. In the meantime, keep safe.
Keep safe, everybody.
All of us. And wish you all better as well. I hope you're all recovering okay.
Thank you. We're better than we were. Much better. Thank you.
I'm glad to see Elliot sitting. The other day he was kind of resting, so I'm very pleased, Elliot.
I think he's just left the meeting.
Yeah, but you know, I was very pleased to see him sitting. Well done. Okay. So
good night, everybody.
All the best. Bye bye. All the best. Bye.
Good night.
Good night.